Let's talk about the Turbosound iP3000. For those of you that have been following along on my YouTube channel, you'll know that I have been wanting to get my hands on a pair of these since I saw they were getting released. Originally I was looking at the Maui 44, and then I saw that Turbosound was coming out with this model. If you've heard in other videos, I wasn't a huge fan of the iP3000. I just think the single 12 lacked low end to really make it usable as a DJ speaker or even a band speaker. Maybe probably better suited for acoustic shows where you need just a little bit of thump maybe. So I wanted something bigger. I know multiple people that own the Carvin column array, the TRC system, and with that one, I mean, the size show you can do with it is great because you can double stack single 18 subs, put two columns on the top, and you can easily do a full band DJ show, anything you really want to. But as many of you know, Carvin has gotten out of the speaker business, so that left a pretty big void in the column array category, in my opinion. This is definitely smaller than the Carvin system. You're only getting dual 12s, not dual 18s. But I wanted to give it a shot and see what it can do. I have read some of the other reviews that say the bass output is quite a bit better in this one, and I've looked at the frequency response chart, and it shows that it definitely has a good bass boost. My other option really was the Evolve 50. I didn't want to drop the money on the Maui 44. It is pretty expensive. But the Evolve 50 and this one are right around the same price. And the Evolve 50 sounds great. I have friends that own that as well. But, once again, I wanted something that could tackle larger events than an Evolve 50 could. Something that could maybe even handle a full band in a smaller setting. So that's why I went with the iP3000. And if I was to describe the iP3000 in one word, I would say it is a beast. And I mean that both positively and negatively. Negative-wise, it's heavy. The dual 12 sub, I don't know the exact weight of it, but it's got to be right around 80 pounds. Pretty sure it's the same weight as the iQ15B and right around the same weight as our DAS Audio Vantech 18A single 18 subs. But what makes it, the 18A from DAS Audios is kind of a beast to move around to because it's so large. But this is on par weight wise with the iQ15B. But it's harder to carry even though it's the same weight. And part of it is because it's 12-inch subs, it's way lower to the ground. So you've got to bend down further to pick it up. And because it's dual 12s side by side, it's wide. So you've got a wider grip on it. So you're going lower and you're grabbing wider to pull it up. And it just makes it feel bigger, heavier, and more bulky. Now when I set this up in here, I had it loaded in my vehicle from an event I did this last weekend. And I carried it in. I didn't use a cart. So it's not that it's not movable by carrying. One person can carry it. Two people makes it easier, but it's not a two-person lift speaker. If you're going out with this, it's a one-person job, in my opinion. But it's bulky. It's heavy to move around. It's just slightly over the weight range where you're kind of like, I don't really want to carry this in. There's no way I would want to go out to, say, a school dance, a wedding, really anything where I've got to carry it more than 25 feet. I've got a rock and roller cart, the R2, and if I can stack two on an R2 cart with the top facing up, but I actually just ordered today a rock and roller R12 cart, because I would like to be able to put them on the cart, 2 of them flat, so that I have a nice wide flat surface to put more gear on. The downside about using the R2 cart is you have to tip the unit onto its back to put 2 of them onto a cart, and the front is curved. So if you try to stack stuff and you start going over bumps, you know, things will want to start to slide off to the sides. But I think with the R12 cart, I'll have a nice wide, 2-foot wide flat surface area where I can really, you know, stack gear up, and I'm hoping I can make it a 1 trip in, 1 trip out for the majority of shows with the rock and roller cart. The positives about, you know, this thing being a beast is, you know, it's heavy duty. You know, I had the iP3000, and I didn't feel like the columns felt like they had a whole lot of substance to them. These just feel solid. Like the metal feels solid, the handles are solid. Like this thing, you know, it feels like a really well constructed, solid speaker. And I like the bigger speaker drivers in it. It gives better sound. I would recommend anybody looking at the iP2000, you know, save up a little bit of money and upgrade to the 3000s. Just way better bang for your buck. I mean, I would almost rather have just 1 of these than 2 of the iP2000s. I think the money would be better spent on 1 of these, and then getting a second one later when it fits your budget. Initial thoughts on the sound quality. I cranked it up outside before. I've done 3 gigs with it so far. So I've tested it outside here and cranked it up and seen what it sounded like. I have DJed a wedding dance with it. I have done a production for a 12-piece band, drums, keys, 6-member horn section, guitar, bass, 2 vocals, or 4 vocals, 2 backup singers as well, 2 lead vocals, 2 backup singers, for a wedding dance. It was a smaller venue, but it was pretty packed, and obviously when you have a 12-member band with a horn section, there's a lot of stage noise you're trying to combat, and I think volume-wise these things definitely held up. I actually didn't mix the band had their own sound tech, I was just doing production for it. I did think that he didn't properly utilize the subs. I think he could have got a little bit more oomph out of the sub when it came to like the kick drum or, you know, just the bass. So that's one thing I think I would have done a little differently if I was mixing it, but he might have been a little timid looking at this because it really doesn't look like much of a speaker to be doing a full band through, but it definitely gets loud. I also DJ'd just an outdoor block party. I did do a headphone to XLR into the back. You might have seen in some of my other videos I use that as a backup cord. I didn't feel like I was getting the best sound quality doing that, and then that more than likely is my laptop. Sometimes I've been having trouble going out the headphone jack and having to uncheck the effects button in the sound control panel, because sometimes it cuts the bass, and I don't know if my computer likes to EQ the headphone jack for headphones or what it is in my HP laptop, but for some reason I don't get very good sound coming out of the headphone jack. But when I used a real mixer at the wedding dance, like it sounded good. I had somebody come up and ask me what these speakers were because they wanted to get a set for themselves. So they do sound good. I didn't really get a good chance to push them as hard as I wanted to at the wedding dance. I actually got told to turn the volume down. And I walked out front and I didn't think it was that loud. I would have liked to have seen what they could do and really push it harder. I did push it hard at the shop for a few minutes just to listen to it and see how loud it could get. One thing I will say that's kind of weird, I don't remember what these go down to negative when you do the main volume knob, but obviously they go mute to like, you know, -80 and then all the way up to I think like +10. And when I was using the app with the Bluetooth, you know, I would bring it up almost probably 90% of the way on the fader, and it wouldn't be very loud, but like that last 10% almost seems like it has 40% of the volume increase. So it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, if you bring the volume up to an 8, it's like a moderate, almost background music level, but from like 8 to 10, just that little extra bump, it gets loud really fast. So I don't know if the volume like has a contour to it where it starts out increasing really slow, and then as you get to almost maxed out, it just like shoots way up. I assume that's something in the firmware that does that. I haven't noticed that with the iP500 that I have, and I don't remember it doing that with the iP3000 either, but you know, maybe it's just me. I'll have to do a few more gigs with it and use a real mixer through it, because that was just using the volume knob on the back. You know, when I do a gig, I have my Pioneer controller plugged into it, and then I just keep the speaker on 0 and adjust the volume, so I never really got a chance to really crank it with the Pioneer controller. But yeah, sound quality wise, it's got good thump. It doesn't go, you know, it's 12-inch speakers, or 12-inch subs. You're not going to get real low bass, but you do get, when I was doing the wedding dance, I was noticing, I had 2 of them, I was noticing that I could feel the punch of some of the songs in my chest. Not like a super low rumble, but just enough to where like you really get that hit, that punch that I think the 12s, instead of giving you more of the low rumbly bass, they give you more oomph, more of the punchy bass. Also, the sound quality overall, you know, with most column arrays, a lot of the time you wind up with a lot of high end, maybe some mids, and then almost like a scoop in the lower mids, and then you get the bass from the sub. With this, when you crank it up and you listen to it, it sounds full. It has a good full sound to it. So I'm very impressed with just the overall, you know, frequency response, just the overall sound quality of it. It doesn't feel like you're compromising anything. With the Evolve 50, I feel like, with the Electro Voice Evolve 50, I feel like it's a really good sounding speaker, but I feel like it's very much geared towards DJs specifically. Like I feel like it's got really good bass out of a single 12. I mean, it's an impressive speaker, but I do feel like it's got like a low mid scoop, so that the 12 can focus on the lower bass. You know, you always compromise something when you have a smaller system like that. And I think with having the dual 12s and the larger drivers, I believe these are 3.5-inch drivers, 16 of them, it really helps with the fullness of the sound. And also one thing, while we're on the topic of sound, a lot of the marketing behind these compares them to a line array that you would see at a concert. I don't really think that's the case with this one, and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to a line array, you have a line of drivers that are close together, just like this, but they're all doing the same thing. So we've got a dual 10 line array, and it's a 3-way cabinet. So the 110 on the one side is all of them all the way down are doing the exact same thing. All of them on the other side are doing the exact same thing. The compression driver is doing the exact same thing, and you get them all working together to, you know, kind of focus the beam and couple the bass, and, you know, the benefits of a line array. With this, the interesting thing is that this has a 5-way crossover in it, and I really wish that Turbosound had literature somewhere about, you know, why it's got a 5-way crossover, if that affects the benefits of this being a column array. Because if you think about it, so the dual 12 subs, that's 1. The 2 compression drivers at the top, that's 2. So within these 16 3.5-inch drivers, there's 3 different crossover points doing different frequencies or maybe slightly overlapping, but you're not really getting the line array benefit, because for that to happen, all of the 16-inch drivers need to be doing the exact same thing to have the proper coupling. If you have 3 sections doing each thing, this section will be working as a mini column array, this section will be working as a mini column array, and the top section will be working as a mini column array. And I don't know if this acts more than like a traditional point source. I haven't had a chance to walk away with it with a dB meter and see what the drop off is. I might do a little bit more testing on it, but it does make me wonder. The 5-way crossover has me a little intrigued. Obviously, if this section's doing the low mids, this section's doing the mids, and this section's doing the high mids, that probably is why it sounds as good as it does. Why it sounds so much fuller, because you're not trying to get 3.5-inch drivers to do a huge frequency range. They're breaking it up and having each section do its own frequency range. And like I said, I just don't know if you get the same benefits from a column array with it doing that. If somebody knows, I would love to know. I really wish somebody from Turbosound would say, put something out there. I wish the manual would say something. I'd be very interested to know the science behind it and whether this does act as more of a line array or just more of a point source speaker system. But either way, it sounds good. I'm not going to knock the sound. I'm very happy with these. These are my personal speakers that I'm using for small to medium size events. I do have them in our rental inventory too, and if they do start to go out on rentals, I'll probably end up buying a second pair for myself, because I do like these a lot. They look nice and clean, they get loud, they've got good bass response. I had mentioned that I wanted to, originally, was really looking at the Maui 44. One of the things that I do like about the LD Systems Maui 44 is that they make a dual 12 just like this, but they also make a dual 12 extension cabinet. So you can actually do 4 12-inch over your column, just stack it right on top, and do even bigger shows with it. I do hope that Turbosound comes out with something like that, but I do think there'd have to be a firmware update maybe, because just to test it out, I have a second one, so I didn't put the column on it. I put it under, and I just linked the 2 together and had the column, and the bass kind of got a little muddy. Like, it was very muddy mid-bassy, and the column didn't quite keep up with the subs. It just didn't sound that good together. So I think if they did come out with an extension speaker, there would have to be a processing change to make it work better with 412s. But I really would like to see that, because I think for bigger events that could be a huge benefit and really allow this system to scale up even larger. Let's see, what else was I going to say about this thing? I really should make a list before I do videos. One of the points I wanted to touch on. So they do make a caster plate for the back, which I feel is extremely beneficial just because of how big and heavy this thing is. They make a plate where you just lock a caster plate on the back, tip it back, and you're able to just roll it wherever you want to go. The one downside about this is, if you get the caster plate, they do not have a second cover option that just slides over the top. So the covers for these are made to go this way. So if you get the caster plate, you're going to have to get custom covers made somewhere else. So I never bought the caster plate. My intention was just to use them with a rock and roller cart anyways, because I don't like wheeling one speaker at a time. I want to load everything up on the cart, and 1, maybe 2 trips in and I'm done. I might do another video about these down the road once I get a few more events under my belt with it. Usually I hold off on doing review videos because I wait to see what the reliability of something is. I have had the iP3000, I've had the iP500, and I haven't had problems with any of them. And they've went out on rentals and gotten used heavily by rental customers. So I don't foresee there being any issues with this one. I'm sure a lot of the internal components are the same across the line. So I don't think I'll have any issues with it reliability wise. More so what I'm looking for on a review down the road, I'm doing a school dance with these where there's probably going to be about 350 kids, and while I think it'll fill up a gym nicely, I'm a little worried about maybe not having enough low end for a big event like that, but I really want to bring it out to them and really test the limits of this and see if I get good enough full sound with enough bass to really do a school dance with these. And you know, down the road even maybe do another small event with a band, more of a rock band maybe, and just see how it goes. I don't think with a band you're really going to get that, you know, super thump punching sound. You know, for that we go out with 4 dual 18s to really get good solid kick drum sound. So I don't think you're going to get that with this. But I didn't really buy it for that. What I bought this for was I wanted to be able to do pretty much any wedding dance I get booked for. I wanted to be able to do corporate events. I'm bringing this out this Friday for a speaking engagement where there will be an acoustic act going through it, and I think the wide dispersion will really cover the conference room nicely. You know, so I'd say it's definitely a small to mid-sized speaker. There's probably going to be people online that'll say, oh, you can do an event up to 400 people, and you know, you probably could, and obviously I'm going to try it with the school dance, but I am a little worried about the low end just not quite being there for those larger events. But you know, we will see, because that event's coming up in just a couple weeks. So I might do a video after that event just to update what it's like for a really large event. The wedding dance I did was only about 125 people. The wedding dance with the full band was 250 people, but it was a smaller room. So there probably was only around 125 people dancing at a time. And then the outdoor block party that I did, it was a color run that I did on this past Thursday. I really didn't get that loud. There was apartments across the street, so I didn't want to crank it up too loud, but people were impressed there once again. I actually got an inquiry to do sound at a cross-country meet because they were impressed by the sound. So far I've had this out twice and I've gotten compliments on it both places, so it's not just me, it does sound good. Oh, I will say, I think, you know, with what you get out of here, you would definitely need, if you were going with a traditional point source system, you know, this puts out way better sound than a single 2 12-inch speakers than 2 15-inch speakers. Really, to get the sound that you're getting out of this, I think you would need 2 12s and 2 single 15-inch subs to get similar sound if you were going to opt for a point source system instead of this column array. Definitely on par with dual 15 subs and 12-inch tops. Projection and dispersion is probably better with this one, so I would say this is probably the way to go if you're doing small to mid-size events. The one drawback I always have with column systems like this is the scalability. They're just not scalable. You know, if you've got a system where you've got 2 15-inch subs, 2 12-inch tops, if you want more bass, you just add more 15-inch subs. If you need more coverage, you add more tops, or you can, you know, really build out your sub. You know, the amount of subs you have, you can get 8 of them and then get different tops to get the tops to keep up with the subs. There's just a lot more configurations you can do when you have separate subs, separate tops, traditional, you know, point and shoot system. You know, with these, you kind of get what you get. There's not really any scalability to it. You can't swap anything out. There's already really wide dispersion, so if you were doing a big event, you know, I wouldn't take put 2 of these on each side, because then all you're going to do is get comb filtering, because the coverage of the 2 columns is crossing. So these systems really are, you get what you get. I would like to see a nice column system where I could do, you know, 2 18-inch subs and, you know, 2 column sections. Now RCF, DB Technologies has the Ingenia series. RCF has the NX44, NX24. But the thing I don't like about those is, you know, they've got like four 6-inch drivers, I think, and a horn. So then when you put 2 columns together, you get the 2 horns in the center, and the 6, or maybe they're 4-inch speakers. Might be 4-inch. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But anyways, you know, you've got regular, like four regular speakers, and then compression drivers, and the compression drivers come together in the middle of the column. That's really why I've steered clear of those so far, because, you know, do I want the compression drivers right here? Are they going to be high enough? Do I always have to bring 2 subs just to get the compression drivers up high enough, and then the rest of the speaker is 10 feet in the air? You know, I don't think there's a good alternative, you know, to the carbon system out there. I did see Grund Audio has something that looks almost identical to what the carbon system was. I actually called them up and talked to them on the phone about it, and theirs is line array. Like, there's no compression drivers. You get, I think, 3-inch neodymium drivers, 8 of them in each column. And I'd love to test one out. I've thought about buying one, but I just don't want to drop the cash and then get it and not like it. And, you know, Grund Audio is not a huge name in the business, so I think I'd have a tougher time trying to sell them if it turned out that I didn't like them. But I would really like a nice column array that's like the carbon system, but higher quality and better sounding. But for now, I think I will stick with this. This will be my main go-to speaker unless I'm doing a really large event. If you have any questions about this system, throw it down in the comments section. If there's anything you want me to do testing it out wise, taking some video, I can definitely do that as well. But anyways, have a good day.